So Secrets We Keep came out today, which is pretty exciting. And it's the last book in the Calloway Cousins. So those of you who have been reading the Calloways from the beginning are going to be super excited to get Hunter's story. And he's going to be, he has a great heroine. Her name is Cassidy, and she's a high school sweetheart. I think some of you have probably, seen a little bit about the video that I have on the Facebook page that says, sometimes fire reveals more than it destroys. So I think you should check that out. Sorry, we're getting saying hello to everyone. Okay, I'll get the hang of this. Then we'll be doing, someone said they liked me sideways better. That's pretty funny. Probably did look better sideways, but anyway, that's good. So we'll probably have a few more people coming in to see us. So I'll kind of wait and say hello as we go along. Looks like we've got about 12 people now, so that's pretty cool. So anyway, today's big day, big birthday for my book. I was thinking that, writing a book and putting it out in the world is a little bit like going through labor. It's pretty funny. I mean, it's actually the beginning of the book idea. You feel like you have just as much time in the world as you could possibly have. And then, as the days pass and you start getting closer to your deadline and everyone's asking you when the book is coming out, you start kind of going through the early pains of labor where you're, trying to get the story to make sense. You're trying to get the words on the page, trying to get them out of my head and onto the page, which is also a little bit difficult for me sometimes. Just trying to match the vision in my head and trying to find the right words for it. And then to keep you guessing, because as most of you know, I really like to write books that are filled with contemporary romance and also suspense. So I like to keep you guessing. I like to have a little bit of a puzzle in there, even if it's only a family puzzle. So in Secrets We Keep, I'll just talk to you a little bit about that book, and then we can also talk about some other things. If anybody has some questions that they'd like to ask, I'll try to answer them for you. So anyway, in the book, Hunter Calloway is a firefighter, and in the opening scene, he kind of makes a rather gruesome discovery during a fire, and it's in the house where his high school girlfriend lived when she was in a foster home back when she was a teenager. And the only thing he knows about Cassidy in this house is that she ran away when she was 16. In fact, she ran away from him on the day of their prom. And so he never heard from her again. It's 14 years later. Now he starts to wonder if there's anything that he really knew about what was going on in her life at that time. And they had a very powerful, first love, that 16-year-old, oh my gosh, this is amazing kind of love. And so this kind of starts off the story, and they're brought back into each other's lives again. And there's a whole mystery and drama to untangle, and lots of kind of heartache to get past to see if they could even have a second chance at love again. So that's kind of the idea behind the story. I really like writing reunion stories. It's really fun to write about people who have a bit of a history and a lot of baggage and a lot of drama. And so it was really fun to write Hunter and Cassidy's story. And for those of you in the San Francisco Bay Area who just like the city, the book is set in San Francisco. I had to go back there for the last of the Calloway Cousins because, as you know, the family home is in a house across from Ocean Beach, which is a place I've gone to many times. And you'll see a lot of the other Calloways in there. If you haven't read the series, though, you don't have to worry because it's a completely standalone novel. If you are reading the series, of course, you're going to love seeing Emma again, and also Emma's husband, Max, gets involved in the book because he's a homicide detective. So it's kind of fun. You'll have a little bit of a reunion there. A lot of people have been asking me about the Calloways and if I'm going to keep going. I think what I'm going to do, I have another branch of the family that's kind of an in-law kind of part of the family. And I'm going to be launching a new series in 2019. And that's going to be set in probably Colorado. Actually, I have a daughter who just moved there, so I got to go to Colorado and go through the mountains, and I found it very inspiring. So I'm thinking about setting my next series in a fictional town and having a whole town and quirky characters and family, and I think some of the Calloways will probably come through. And on my Facebook page, if anybody of you have been playing or following me, I was asking for names for cool places. I still have a couple ideas in mind. I'm thinking about Whisper Lake because it kind of has that moody, evocative tone that I'm kind of looking for. So I'm thinking about setting it there. But I don't know. We'll see, because I have a few other ideas, and people have been giving me some great suggestions. I see Caroline said she's from Denver. Hey, I just went to Denver also for the Romance Writers Conference, which was fabulous. I've never had a bad meal in Denver, so I'm kind of excited about all the food, and maybe I'll do another couple research trips to Colorado, which would be really fun. So anyway, so that's kind of the story of the Callaways. I started it, gosh, I was thinking the first Callaway book, On a Night Like This, came out, I believe, in 2012. So the Callaways have been kind of around for a while, and I think I will get back to them, but I think it might be fun to also branch out a little bit. And when we revisit them, we'll kind of see like what's happened to them and where they are. But I think we'll maybe get into a new branch of the family, which I kind of allude to at the end of Secrets We Keep. So there's a little teaser in there for you. So be sure you grab the book today. I know some of you may be in the storm areas. I was a little concerned about some of my readers who were coming in from the Carolinas and Virginia, and I hope everyone is staying safe, and better get your book and hunker down, right? This is a great time to read. So that would be really cool. Also, while you're here, if you want to just comment on my page, we're going to be giving away some prizes, even those for people who aren't live yet. We'll be giving away some prizes. I think we have a really cool Callaways blanket, some coasters. I think Judy maybe was going to post some pictures if she could. And if you're not watching this live, you can still enter. We're not going to pick any winners probably for a few days. As you can see behind me, I'm sitting in kind of my dining room. A big project that I've had this year is that we are rebuilding our house. So we moved into a temporary house, and I do not have an office in the house. So I was kind of looking around for a place for myself to sit. I wish I could show you like a great wall of books and framed covers, but the truth is I actually write a lot in an armchair. For some reason, when I'm sitting at a desk, I feel like I should do business work. But when I'm sitting in an armchair with a big ottoman with my feet up, I feel like I kind of get more creative and I kind of get into my story more. So I actually do a lot of writing in that way. So it doesn't really matter that I don't have an office here, but it would be nice probably when I'm doing these videos if you weren't looking at all my lovely wine and barware. but that's what it is. So anyway, that's kind of funny. But I see some people are posting that they have already finished the book. I'm always so amazed that it takes me like 4 months to write a book, and then people are actually, done reading it in like the first 3 hours of its release, and they're like, when's the next one? And I'm like, it's coming. But it's also very exciting because there's something a little bit kind of anticlimactic about release day, because you're kind of waiting to hear what people will think, and it's the book's out there in the world, and it just is what it is. So it's going to be it'll be fun, and I hope everyone will love it. Let's see, I wanted to tell you about some other stuff that I have going on and what I'm writing. I'm doing a romantic suspense series called Off the Grid. It's an FBI series. And I think some of you may be reading it already. It starts with Perilous Trust and goes on to Reckless Whisper. And Desperate Play is the third book, which just came out in I think a couple months ago. So the next book that will be coming out right after Christmas, I'm going to make it a little Christmas present for you, but it'll come out the day after Christmas so that you can get all your Christmas stuff done. And then when all the family's gone and you have time to put your feet up, you'll have a new book out called Elusive Promise. And it's going to star Parisa, who's one of the FBI agents. For those of you who haven't started reading the FBI series yet, I hope you'll check it out. It's basically about a series of a group of friends who met at Quantico. And there's kind of a tragedy during their training class that brought them all closer together, but also plays kind of a role in the ongoing part of the series as they all kind of deal with their interrelationships. So each of them gets their own storyline. Some of them actually help out in some of the stories. Sometimes they're kind of farther away. The settings are all over because it's the FBI and crime is everywhere. So the first book is in New York, in upstate New York, and also New York City. The second book, Reckless Whisper, goes to Chicago, and it's really cool. It kind of involves a missing child, and also, kind of some family secrets. And then the third book, actually, Desperate Play, takes place in Southern California, and it's the company that's part of it is kind of modeled after SpaceX and some of these other private aerospace companies. So for the FBI books, it's really cool because I actually have to do a lot of research. I'm learning about things I didn't know anything about, like space wars and what's happening up in space with all of our satellites and how people can, that's going to be kind of the next frontier. So that's kind of a fun thing to do. So I hope you'll check out the FBI books. I'm really excited about them. They have probably a little bit more mystery than romance in them, although they definitely have a great love story as well. But if you like a little bit more of a suspenseful a book, then you'll probably really like the FBI books. And let's see, the other thing that's also going to be coming out, which some of you have been, adjusting the camera, some of you have been patiently waiting for, is the last book in my Bachelors and Bridesmaids series. And that's going to be out. Dreaming of You will also hopefully be out before the end of the year, which is Kate's story. And I think if you like the sweet romances, then you'll really like the Bachelors and Bridesmaids. So I think I have a little bit of something for everyone. I kind of like to write different things and to mix around. For me, it's just really fun. I like to write the sweeter, fun stories. I like to write the darker suspense. And I also love the Callaways and the straight contemporaries and the wonderful towns and the great drama that I get to build in. I really, really like characters and just kind of having all these twists and turns and surprises for you. And I work really hard. It's funny. A lot of my friends, when we brainstorm, they'll be like, so who's the villain, or, who's the bad guy, or how's it going to end? And I never really know. It's funny. Like I kind of have a kind of a broad idea of where I'm going in the story. But I often don't know exactly who the villain is until I'm, kind of far along, because I like to write it that it could be several different people, and then I feel like I don't give it away because I honestly don't know who it is. So that's kind of a little tidbit that, of writing for me, that I really like to just kind of see who makes the most sense, like who's the most motivated. So I'll kind of go through my list of characters and I'm like, well, it could be this person because of this. So it's really fun. So sometimes when I'm writing with some of my friends, we do a little bit of brainstorming. I occasionally write at Starbucks with a couple of other writers, and it's great because they totally get right away if I have like a plot question. Like if I'm at home and I ask my husband, like, hey, what do you think's gonna happen? Like, how are they gonna get out of this house with the bad guys waiting outside? He starts asking me random questions like, well, where were they born? And, I'm like, what? That has nothing to do with my problem. But it's like, he's not a writer. So, whereas when I'm sitting down with my friends at the table and I just say like, oh, hey, I need these people to escape an explosion, in a hotel, like what would they do? And instantly, like, I'll get answers back of people giving me ideas, and no idea is too crazy. So it's kind of fun. So that's, writing is a really solitary business. So it's really fun when you can kind of meet with your friends and have a little brainstorming in between. Along those lines, I don't know if some of you saw on my Facebook page, I actually went on a writing retreat in June to upstate New York, to this castle. It was called the Lord's Castle. And it was in Piermont, New York. And there were 10 of us, 10 ladies that went. And it was truly a castle from the 1800s. We were a little scared when we went down the basement. Turned out there was kind of a houseboy down there that we didn't know was in the house, but he was fun. It was kind of funny, but they had like a vault room with like an old vault door that you would have like on a bank. That must have been where they stored their gold back in the day. So we were in this castle of 9 bedrooms and a huge dining room like you'd see in, England, where, Henry VIII would have been having dinner. So we actually brought out all our computers and camped out, and and had everybody, hunker down around the dining room table, and we would just write. And it's funny, like people, I think one of the house cleaners for the castle came through, and she's like, "What are you guys doing?" And we're like, "Yeah, we're working." So everybody had their computer on. Some people had their headphones in. People had their tea or their coffee or whatnot. And we would work during the day, and then sometimes we'd brainstorm at night. We have a few people who definitely like cocktail hour at 5 o'clock. So we would definitely stop working sometimes, and then sometimes the brainstorming got even better after a couple glasses of wine. But it was a really, really fun retreat, and we really enjoyed it. And now it's fun because I get to see all of their books coming out that they were talking about. I think I was actually talking about Secrets We Keep when I was at the retreat. That's when I was first starting to write it. So I have to thank some of those gals at dinner who, when I said like, well, I really want to write about these secrets, and I was kind of bandying about some different ideas for what the secrets might be, and some people kind of gave me some different ideas, which was really cool. So that was really fun. So we definitely do, that's kind of the writer's life, I guess. Not super exciting. I do work a lot just to try and keep bringing y'all books because everybody reads so fast. But I'm excited. It's like I have this big imagination, and I just love being able to share, my stories with you. I was actually inspired to be a writer by my mom. She's kind of introduced me to my love of books. When I was a little girl, our favorite trip was to the library. And so we would go there, and I think I was reading, every book series there was. Nancy Drew was, of course, a favorite. Obviously, I liked intrepid heroines in romantically suspenseful settings, although I don't think Nancy had much romance, but I definitely liked her suspenseful adventures and her intrepidness. And I think that, I came to writing out of a love of reading, and I think that that's how most writers are. And I read everything. I read a lot of historical romance. My mom was such a big reader, and we had, thousands of books in our bookshelves. My father was like, "Oh, get these books out of here. There's too many books." But thank goodness my mom just, kept bringing them into the house. I think I read all the Barbara Cartlins and all the Georgette Heyers, whatever she was reading. She had books that were from her, I think, youth or, her grandmother that were so old. There was a series called Cherry Ames. I was talking about this on another blog I was recently on. And Cherry Ames was like a nurse, and she was like, I didn't even know there was like a department store nurse. She was a war nurse. She was all kinds of things. And I was thinking back that that's really probably what formed the foundation of my love of giving women adventures. Not that there aren't great adventures for men too, but I think, I always have a very strong female character. And I think she's also an ordinary person. I really like to write about people that are kind of ordinary people caught up in extraordinary situations. And my mom actually was the first one to start writing a book. I think I was probably in high school, and she was fiddling around with writing, and I was very impressed. I think she finished one or two, and she couldn't sell it. She kept trying to sell it. And then after college, I thought, I'd like to maybe write a book too. I kind of was in my mid-20s, and I thought, well, maybe I'll start seeing if I can put something down. And of course, it's really hard because everybody thinks they can write a book, but when you look at the blank page, you're like, oh my gosh, like, how am I going to get started here? But I thought to myself, I'm just going to write what I would like to read. And, that was kind of how I started. And I think it kind of worked out because I just really had that thought in mind, is that I was just going to write something that I loved, and maybe I'd be the only one who would ever read it. But that's kind of how it began. And, eventually, I actually sold my first book to Silhouette Romance, which was part of Harlequin. And I think it was the first book I ever sold. And one of the editors had actually told me she didn't want it, but she gave me some ideas. And so I wrote back, and she's read it. I actually didn't send it back to her because I didn't know I could, because I was so green. So I sent it to someone else, and then they wound up buying it. So that was pretty fun. So I actually was writing. I think I sold my first book. I had like a baby and a 2-year-old. So I've had to write through a lot of family family growing up times, and that's probably why I can write in an armchair, because I used to write in the car at the orthodontist's office because there was a lot of braces going on at the family. So I definitely had a lot of challenges, and I wrote anywhere. And so, if anybody out there is ever thinking about being a writer and you don't think you have enough time, you can, 1 page a day is a book in a year. So that's always what I tell myself. So I think that's kind of a fun thing. I don't know if anyone has any questions. Kind of reading through some of your comments, but if you do have any questions, and if I didn't catch it here, I'll be sure and look through the comments, and I can also answer your questions there. Someone was asking about kind of my publishing career. I started in traditional publishing. As I said, I wrote for Silhouette Romance. And then I went on to write for Avon, and also for Simon & Schuster, for Pocket, and for NAL. So I actually wrote for some of the biggest houses in New York. And then in 2011, I decided to start publishing my own books with the revolution of the ebooks. I love digital books. I never thought I would. I thought I would be a print reader forever. It took me about 10 minutes to go, wow, this is pretty amazing. I love being able to, get a book at midnight or while I'm sitting out on the beach and start reading. So I became an early convert of digital books. And then I thought how great it would be if I could really bring my books to everyone through this medium. And I wanted to write faster than most publishers wanted me to write. They generally oftentimes will kind of slow you down to 1 book a year. I really wanted to write more than that. And I just had too many stories to tell. So I thought, now I can do whatever I want. I can pick what stories I want to tell. I listen to my readers, my fans. I love you guys. I love everything. Everybody gives me good comments and good questions and good tips. And I love to bring these stories that, hopefully make your lives a little bit more fun and entertaining. I love getting letters. I had someone recently say that, they were reading my book while they were waiting, outside, one of their relatives was in surgery, and that kind of kept them going and was a good distraction. So I love that you can, I love to bring you entertainment, and I just have so many more books to write that they're going to be coming for a while. So I hope you're all going to keep checking them out. BarbaraFreethy.com. You can get a whole list of my books there. You can also read excerpts of every book that's out. If you're not on my members only page, you should definitely be there. All you have to do is sign up for my newsletter, which I promise does not come very often, twice a month at the most, generally when I have something new to report. But that will give you access to members only. And on the members only section, I also give away a free book a month from my backlist. So you'll get, an opportunity to get that. And you'll also get sneak peeks of kind of longer excerpts of some of the upcoming books. And I have some really cool puzzles on there. Judy, who helps me with my social media, gave me some ideas for some puzzles. And I mean, we both like the jigsaw puzzle of some of the covers. You can play it online on your phone, and it's pretty fun. You can actually compete against yourself and see if you can finish it faster than others. I really love jigsaw puzzles, so it's kind of actually a nice stress reliever for me outside of writing, just to do a puzzle. But I try not to do it too often, because then I stop working as hard. So I need to keep going and keep working on the books. But I hope you'll definitely check out the members only section. I'm trying to give you some value and so some fun in between the books, and to give you a chance to get some of the older books, that are, that maybe you haven't had a chance to pick up yet. I think somebody asked me today what number book this was, and I'm honestly not being coy, but I can't totally remember, but I think it's around 64. So I have a lot of books. When I was writing for publishing, I wrote mostly standalone novels, because that's all they would let you write in those days. So I have 17 standalone novels. So if you're the sort of person who doesn't always want to invest in a series, you might want to check some of those out. Daniel's Gift is one of my most popular books of all time, and probably the biggest tearjerker too, if you're in that kind of mood. But there's also some other great suspense books. Summer Secrets is about 3 sisters, kind of a little bit more women's fiction. but a lot of people love that one. It was actually the first book to hit the New York Times, #1 on the New York Times as an indie published book. It was kind of shocked New York. They didn't know what to do. They couldn't believe that a book by an independently published author could hit #1 in the New York Times. So that was super exciting. And that book went on, I think it was on the list for several more weeks. And since then, I had like 23 titles that have hit the list. So it was pretty exciting to be able to reach my readers on my own. And I hope to be doing more of these live events because I think it's really fun. And hopefully you get a little peek into my life and, get to learn a little bit more about my books. Writing is very isolating, so it's kind of fun to actually hear from readers. So we do love it when you write us and post on our Facebook page or go on Instagram. It's kind of fun to know you're out there and what books you're liking and what you're looking for. I see Kay came in probably a little bit late on asking about the Calloway books. Definitely something to do with the Calloways in the future. They will be making some appearances and there will be some offshoot of the series, but Secrets We Keep is the last of this particular branch of the Calloway cousins. It's Hunter was the last sibling. So there's actually 14 novels in the Calloway series and 2 novellas. So the first 8 books feature the first main family, which was kind of set up like the Brady Bunch. She had 2 daughters and he had 4 sons, and then they had twins. So they wound up having 8 kids, and it's an Irish-American family. Firefighting is their kind of family business, and their mantra is to serve and protect, and that was kind of the basis of the Calloways. But some of the Calloway siblings did other things too. Drew was a helicopter pilot, and Shayla was a doctor, and so they kind of follow the family traditions in different ways. And that's also kind of part of what's interesting about it is like one of the guys is a musician, and how does he fit into a family of kind of overachievers? And even Hunter in the most recent book, Secrets We Keep, he's kind of the last single guy standing. He's kind of wrestling with the whole idea of being a firefighter and being in the family business, and is this what he was meant to do? And I think it's, a lot of times things that people wrestle with, especially when they have kind of a really strong family dynamic. So I really, really liked writing about the Calloways, and I know they'll be back. I just want to make sure I can really bring you some great stories to come, and that's why I think I'm going to be mixing it up a little bit. So I think that'll be fun. And as I said, don't forget the FBI series. I also have the Storm trilogy, which actually spins off into the FBI series. Beautiful Storm, Lightning Lingers, Summer Rain. I love, love, love that trilogy. I think it's so cool. It has a little tiny bit of not paranormal, but the mystical with lightning. There's some lightning legends. I just love it. It's got a lot of complications, and it's got kind of an overarching mystery through the 3 books that I think you'll find really fun. So that's another one to check out, is the Lightning Strike series if you haven't gotten to that one. And gosh, I think there's just so many other books. So I hope you'll go read through my website and take a look and see what maybe piques your interest. As I said, I really like to write about character and plot, and all my books are really complicated because I just love to kind of throw in a lot of twists and turns, and so there's usually kind of a lot of depth to them. Someone said they're starting Summer Rain. That's great. So excited that you're all here. I don't have any news yet, but I will say that I do have someone in Hollywood who's looking at the Calloways, and maybe something will happen. So who knows? It's always kind of a long shot, but there has been some interest. So it would be very cool if something came to be in maybe television or film. I think a lot of my books would be great movies or TV. So we'll see if any of that happens. But anyway, that's about it. So someone wrote, "Is this a makeup tutorial?" I wish it was. Obviously, I'm not wearing quite enough makeup for that. But I think they're probably in the wrong spot. But this is just about books, and Barbara Freethy hanging out, talking to you all. So anyway, I probably missed some of your questions because it's hard for me to look at the screen and see all your comments, but I'll definitely read through everything and answer you online because I think it was great. And I really appreciate you coming and hanging out with me. I hope if you're anywhere near the storms that you stay safe and dry, and that, you know, they pass or turn back out to sea, which would be great. I'm out in California, so we don't know anything about hurricanes out here, but I'm very familiar with earthquakes. I've lived through a few of those, but I'm just amazed by the people that are constantly having to face these big storms and storm surges, and it's just crazy. So I hope everyone, all of my readers that are in that part of the country are staying safe tonight. And let us know on the Facebook page how you're doing. We like to hear about you. I have my main page at Barbara Freethy Books on Facebook. There's also a private, it's not really private, it's just a fan group where we play more games and talk to each other, and people get to know each other. And there's a link on the main page if you'd like to join that group as well, if you want to get a little bit more involved and hear a little bit more of what's going on. Sometimes Facebook doesn't always show all the posts to everyone, so I don't like anyone to miss anything. So I hope that you'll check things out. So I think that'll do it. I think I'm going to say goodnight now, and I really appreciate everyone coming, and happy reading. Until next time, bye.